By the end of today's episode, you'll know all about actor slates and how to use them to book more acting work. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and in today's episode, we're going to dive deep on slates. You'll learn exactly what a slate video is and why it's important. We'll cover what it entails along with how long it should be, what you should say and where, and how the video quality should actually look. We're also going to discuss where to post slate videos and just how to use them in general. So first, what is a slate? Well, basically it's a very short video intro about yourself that tells casting directors who you are. It gives them a sense of what you look like on camera and the sound of your voice, which is obviously very important because they expect you to sound a certain way, or at least hope that you'll sound a specific way, depending on what kind of character they're casting. Now, it's actually more helpful to have a slate than just having headshots, because these days many casting directors don't even trust headshots anymore because so many people use overly retouched photos, and some are now even using AI headshots, which, by the way, I do not recommend because they can get you blacklisted in the industry, since so many professionals hate AI and actually feel like actors who use it are betraying other people, because they're some productions that are starting to actually replace real actors with AI generated characters, especially for background work. And you don't really want to join that group of people or be seen as someone who supports AI if it's potentially something that could hurt you down the line in the union. I actually did a whole episode on that topic, which is called "Are AI Headshots Okay for Acting Auditions and Agents?" And it's episode number 64. Anyway, back to the topic in hand. Your slate video is essentially a mini audition. It's kind of like a business card in video format, and it can give casting directors a sense of your personality. So right away, they'll kind of have an idea of whether you might be a contender for an audition. And this is because, generally speaking, most casting directors prefer to work with actors who are naturally the character that they're going for. So if you're auditioning for a really fun, upbeat type of character, if your slate comes across more serious and somber, well, they're probably going to be less likely to consider you, and vice versa. Generally speaking, any actor can benefit from a slate, even if you are fairly established and you already have a full reel. And that is especially true if you're moving into a new style of acting or a new market, or basically somewhere that people might not have a sense of what you're doing in this new area. Or in other words, if you're trying a new type of acting and all of your previous stuff was, let's say, theater, and now you're getting into TV and film, then your past acting work may not apply, so it can be useful to have a slate. You will frequently be required to do a slate video before most self-tape submissions. And essentially what that means is if your submission gets a response, like if you submit your headshot and some clips to a potential audition or a casting call, and a casting director sees what you send, then they may respond and say, "Hey, we like what you sent in. Can you perform these sides?" And of course, that is a self-tape. And in general, you're probably going to want to start by slating your name. This way, they kind of get a sense of who you are. "Hi, my name is X," and then you go into the audition, right? Now, you're also going to almost always need to do that for in-person auditions. So in front of the actual casting directors, you'll state your name and then you'll get into it. So what should your slate include? Well, generally, you want to include some very basic information just about yourself, unless they request something very specific. So for a general slate video that's not going to be specific to one particular audition, or in other words, if you create a 10-second slate and you just upload it onto your acting profiles. It's just going to be you stating your name, and then you can submit that for different things if you don't already have clips or if you want to add it in addition to your clips, right? So that general slate video that you submit to everything would include your name. Generally speaking, you do want to include your height and also your location. Now, I also recommend mentioning something about the character types that you most enjoy playing, but I do think that you should only consider doing this once you've gotten clear on those types and you're ready to start looking for bigger, higher paying acting roles. Doing it too soon might actually limit the types of auditions that you can get. Okay, so if you're like, hey, I tend to play cops, right? Then if you're auditioning for the role of a father character who doesn't have anything to do with cops, you might be less likely to get that role, right? So you don't want to limit yourself at the beginning, but once you are ready to start looking for bigger roles, at that point, it would make sense to include that because you'll be more specific with the roles that you're submitting. If you have an agent, they will as well. And by saying, I specialize in these kinds of roles, you're going to actually increase your chance of getting those types of roles. Now, for specific auditions where the casting director actually responds to your submission and says, hey, submit this self-tape, they may ask for specific additional information like your age range or your union status. And at those times, you can replace the part about your character type with the additional details that you're being asked for. So here's an example. A general slate audition might sound something like, hey, my name is Mark Johnson. I'm 6'3" and I'm based in New York City. I most enjoy playing young professional roles and best friends. Now, an audition-specific slate might be, again, this is based on what they're going to ask you for. So it might look like, hey, my name is Mark Johnson and I'm auditioning for the role of James Bond. I'm 6'3", based in New York City, and I'm SAG eligible. Right? If you're auditioning for the role of James Bond, which I don't know why I came up with that example, but regardless, you get the idea. You want to say who you're auditioning for. Now, most slates should only last around 10 seconds, and you want to talk in your own normal conversational voice. Don't be overly professional or stiff or just like weird. Like you wouldn't say, hi, my name is Mark Johnson, which just seems weird. It's, hey, my name is Mark Johnson, right? You talk it in your own voice so that they can get a sense of who you are naturally. Right? Just say it as if you're talking to a person in a normal way in a room. Now, you should wear something that complements the typical characters that you play in a general slate video. Okay, so if you typically play father roles, then look up online to get an idea of what many fathers look like in pictures and wear something that's along those lines, like let's say a polo shirt or something, something that's casual, right? Whereas if you're typically finding yourself submitting and auditioning and enjoy playing roles that are for, let's say, executives and CEOs, then yeah, you're probably going to dress a little bit more formal, wearing a suit, maybe a tie, maybe not. Don't be like super specific with it, but also don't be super general with it unless you are very new and you absolutely have no idea of what you can play, in which case you can wear something very simple like a flat black t-shirt or something. Generally, though, I still recommend not doing that. Even if you're still new, just kind of think of roles that you might want and then wear something slightly different. Sometimes a black t-shirt might just be so general that people don't even have an idea of where to place you at all. But it is up to you. It's not going to make a big deal at the beginning, so don't overthink that. A black t-shirt is fine if you really want to do that, okay? Now, for an audition-specific video, again, where you are actually asked to submit an audition and you're putting your slate at the beginning, then you should wear the same thing that you're going to actually be wearing in the audition itself, which ideally should be something that captures the essence of the character that you're auditioning for. Okay, so if you are, let's see, auditioning for the role of a CEO and they're requesting that slate, then wear the same thing that you think that you'll be wearing as the CEO, which might be a suit and tie. Don't go overly specific with this. This is also just kind of a general note if you're doing headshots and stuff or going to an actual audition. You don't really want to like look exactly like the character type when it is something that wears a very specific uniform, right? So a CEO in general, they're all going to wear, let's say, suit and tie. But if you're auditioning for a police officer role, I recommend not wearing a full police outfit for it. You can, it's up to you, but you don't have to at all. And I may do a podcast specifically about this down the line, like what to wear for auditions. But the general rule of thumb is if you want people to know that you have a police officer outfit, you can mention that in your submissions note or cover letter. You don't need to wear it for the audition. Sometimes if you like overly dress up and you put on makeup and wear the hat and everything, it could look like you're trying too hard. But it's very much casting director dependent. Some people are like, oh, that's awesome. He really went all in. I like that. Other people are like, oh, this guy's probably trying too hard, especially if you're acting and your performance is off at all. But I'll leave that to you for now. I just say at minimum, wear something that kind of looks like what the character might wear. So let's say it is a cop role. Wear something like a button down, maybe like blue dress shirt type of thing, but it doesn't have to actually be a police outfit. Now you want to be sure that you have decent quality lighting and a professional setup for your slate. Okay, so it should be the same lighting, background, and camera framing and microphone positioning as you would normally use for any professional self-tape submission. We're not going to go deep on exactly what a self-tape submission should look like and all of the technical side of that. Right now, I can do a podcast much deeper on that. If you do want me to do that, shoot me an email, martin@cityheadshots.com. Let me know that you're interested in me doing a self-tape. Or if you have some other topic you'd like me to cover, feel free to email me. I'm always open to topic ideas. But yeah, you just want to have a professional background, flat backdrop, so it's not distracting, and decent lighting and sound for it. Now, I do recommend that you record your slate a few times over and watch through them and decide on the one that feels the most natural and, of course, doesn't have any mess-ups. And once you've decided on a take that you like, go ahead and upload it wherever you want to post it. So that means you can use your general slate on online casting websites like Actors Access, casting networks, Backstage. You can also use it for submissions to agents and managers if you're looking for a rep, or you can even post it on your website. For audition-specific slates, you'll obviously just be submitting those according to whatever instructions you're sent. So if they say email your audition video to this email address, then obviously you'll send it there, but you're probably not going to want to upload an audition-specific slate to your primary casting profiles. Now, one note, though, is whenever you are actually submitting for an audition, always be sure to follow their instructions exactly, because there's often little tiny notes that they might drop into a casting call just to see whether you're paying attention. And they need to narrow people down, right? They might get multiple thousands of submissions for some auditions, especially for bigger auditions. And so right away, they're looking for something like that can allow them to sort of knock people out of the running right away, so they don't even have to waste their time watching all of these people's submissions and videos and everything. So always follow their instructions to a T. If you don't, you might just get cut out for no real reason besides you didn't notice the tiny little note. A funny example of this is actually sometimes there'll be contracts with companies, right? And they'll stipulate, our client needs all of the brown M&Ms removed from their bowl of M&Ms. And it sounds like the client is actually a pain, right, to work with. Like, what? Our client needs us to do this, preparing for this event. But actually, no, the reason that they put that into the contract is so that they can test and see how serious this company is and how detail oriented they are. Did they notice to do that, right? It's sort of a test. And so casting directors use that same strategy when they're considering different actors for roles. So that's pretty much it for today on self-tape actor slates. And hopefully you found this episode helpful. I appreciate you listening. If you do want to dive even deeper on auditions and how to improve your audition abilities, I highly recommend checking out my podcast episode called How to Prepare for Important SAG-AFTRA Auditions, which is episode number 32. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to have a much better understanding on the prep work that goes into doing a great job at an audition and how to avoid burning yourself out. So check it out. Again, it's episode number 32, How to Prepare for Important SAG-AFTRA Auditions on the Actor's Career Compass. And lastly, if you would like to get some personalized advice, I'd love to hop on a quick Zoom call. I'll take a look at where you are, what you're struggling with, and help you figure out the best next steps to take. So if you'd like to meet with me one-on-one, just visit martinbenson.com. That's MARTIN Benson, BENTSEN. So martinbenson.com, and you can schedule a meeting with me. I'd love to chat and see where you're at in your career and how I might be able to help.